It's been about a year since I posted a video of progress on the hot rod. I guess last November, and it's the end of November now. So been pretty busy out here the last four months or so, evenings and weekends. Got a fair bit done. Basically, the things that I'd hoped to finish over the course of the year, I did get them done. So I'm gonna walk you through progress. So one of the big concerns I had was whether or not the front drive shaft for the R8 was going to clear the engine block. So I knew it was going to be tight. So I've made a custom oil pan up for the dry sump system out of aluminum, welded and machined, and it's got uses the mid plate for the rear bearing, and then the front bearing I've made this bearing housing up that bolts onto the front of the engine, and so it all worked out pretty good. I had to notch out the frame for clearance there. You can see it's pretty tight, and we'll talk about the clearance problems in the cabin a little bit later, but it all seemed to work fairly well. You can see I've made engine mounts here. These are out of chromoly tubing. Nice and lightweight. Each of the mounts weighs about 1.5 pounds, which is a stark contrast to the OEM engine mount, which is, it's like this cast iron block here with a big hunk of rubber in the middle. So the rubber's I'm certain for vibration dampening. I don't think the EcoBoost engine has a balance shaft in it. So I may get a fair bit of vibrations coming through the chassis. You'll see it is in a urethane mount, and but I may just have to add a heat shield onto that mount to protect it from the heat of the headers. I'll see how things go. Hopefully it's durable, and I think with the mid plate, combined with the mid plate, it's going to be plenty strong enough. And the mid plate itself, I think last year was just roughed in. I put a series of pockets and tried to take a bunch of weight off, and it's relieved all inside that bell housing as well. So originally it was about 40-pound hunk of aluminum, and I managed to get it down to, my target was 7 pounds, but I got it down around 15 pounds. And it's mounted in, I don't know if you can see it very clearly, it's mounted in urethane bushings as well to the chassis, so it'll quell a little bit of vibration. I made this rear brace for the upper part of the subframe, and it's removable, so I can take the engine out. And I also made, I'm not super happy with this, but this rear brace for the main roll cage. Now, the roll book's required to be welded to the main hoop in the roll cage. I haven't done that. I've made it removable. And I used the design, I don't know if you can see it here, if it's focusing or not, but it's like a cone and cup, and a bolt goes through from the bottom. So there's a tube goes right through the frame rail here, and then the bolt comes up from the bottom. Not super happy with the way it's fitting right now, but it is nice having it removable, because I don't think I want to run that on the street. It really affects the look of the truck. What else have I got back here? I made the toe links for the rear suspension, so they got all of that lined up. The rear cross member and mounts for the transmission. That's another deal where Audi's got these kind of ugly looking, pretty beefy transmission mounts. A lot of rubber, a lot of weight. So again, I've TIG welded them up out of chromoly tubing. And they're mounted in urethane, but again, with the mid plate support, I don't think it's going to be a big issue. Before I had the engine mount and the transmission mounts in place, that mid plate alone, it supports the whole the whole drivetrain. So you could stand on the back of the transmission here, and it would barely move. So it's the whole thing's pretty beefy. So I'm happy with with the way the structural work's turning out. I also I wanted to get the brake calipers mounted. So this is a dummy caliper here. but I've got AP Racing calipers off NASCAR, and of course they weren't going to work very well with my Corvette uprights. So I've made these. You can see them here. I've made a series of adapter brackets for it, and they're just milled out of aluminum, and then they bolt onto the upright. Using aerospace grade bolts for all the hardware here. Unfortunately, you know, the bolts are expensive. I've been trying to keep the cost down by buying off eBay, and you know, you can't always get the size that you want with the surplus bolts. So you know, here I've had to make spacers because the bolts were longer than what I needed. So that's the back end. It's coming together. Just, you know, there's a mark on the rear brace tube here, that black mark. So that's the line that the box is going to run from the you know, extended back from the cab. So that's the height of the box. So you know, most of that rear brace is going to be concealed anyway. So I made some further progress in the interior. So I made these swing out door braces here. They're a mix of chromoly end clevises here, and welded to mild steel tubing, but it's all TIG welded together, and it turned out pretty good. So the door braces swing out fairly easily here. I still got to put a linkage onto the door itself, so that when you open the door, the brace will open too. So, and I've got the option of just taking the braces right out for street driving. You can see here that's the drive shaft. There's not a whole lot of clearance here to the seats, so that's going to be a problem for me. I may have to go with different seats. These are seats out of a, you know, they're nice seats. They're leather seats out of a Nissan 370Z. So they got, you know, they got fans for cooling, and they got heaters, and they're plenty adjustable, and being leather, they're nice, but just a little bit too wide, and they're not quite going to give me the clearance I need around the drive shaft. So I knew that was going to be an issue, but I didn't know how close it was going to be. I've got the steering column mounted in, and there's a quick release on the wheel here. This is a really nice wheel. My wife bought it for me. We found it on eBay. It's a Momo wheel, but it's a, I don't know if you can read that. It's a Jackie Stewart signature series, but so it's a leather covered wheel. It's from the 1970s or so, I think. And then I got a Porsche Cayman tilt and telescoping steering column here. So I've mounted that just with a little frame up in there. So it worked out very well. And then up front, so a little bit more bracing. I got the again, I got the steering all mounted. Originally, I was going to go with a manual steering rack and pinion, and I was going to modify like a Mustang rack and pinion. And then I found this this series of rack and pinions that are used on like dirt track and asphalt stock cars, made by a U.S. company called Sweet Manufacturing. And it's a nice unit. I got this one used for a pretty good price. I didn't originally want power, but it had a power unit on it, so it's got this separate hydraulic cylinder. So the challenge with that is it really didn't clear all that well on my front subframe. So you can see I've had to notch it out, and things packaging's got pretty tight up inside here. So you can see you know, there's not a whole lot of clearance between the steering and the front differential. And I made all these mounts and stuff here for it as well. One of the challenges here is making sure that I could take things in and out. So, you know, there's no point adding mounts and brackets if it's going to lock the front differential in place, so it couldn't be removed. So there's been a fair bit of work making sure that everything slides in and out. And then getting the steering geometry set up right was a little bit more work than I thought. And I'm fairly pleased with how it's turned out. There's very little bump steer right now, almost immeasurable in the range around ride height. But I don't know. I'll see what happens when I get it out driving. But yeah. So I think that's about it for all I've done. It may not sound like a whole lot, but there was a lot of problem solving and messing around to make everything work together. So I had a work breakdown structure that I listed tasks, and I'd estimated the labor for each of them. So I thought I had about 300 hours of labor to do this this fall. But as luck would have it, I didn't quite get everything on the list done, and it wound up taking me about 400 hours because I've been keeping track of my time. So I think if I were to make the parts, from a pattern or a drawing or something, my labor estimate would have been fine. But it winds up being a lot of measuring and installing and just generally figuring things out. Because absolutely everything on this thing is custom, so everything seems to take a little longer than what I expected. But I'm pleased with the progress so far. It's coming along. At this rate, I think I've got about another 2.5 years, 2.5 summers worth of work to do on it, and then should be ready to take it for a drive. But we'll see. There's still lots of challenges ahead. To get all the systems working, so that's probably work for next year, is to get the fuel system and the oil system. My dry sump pan is not finished. There's I gotta make mounts for the dry sump pump, and I've got to put all the fittings on the pan. And I think I'm gonna use one of the stages on the pump to scavenge the turbos as well. So anyway, that's progress for this year, and. Yeah, coming along.